think the assumption comes from the belief that it'll just be exactly like it was last year. I think that's what you got to not fall into, is that, oh, this is the way it worked last year, so this is the way it'll be this year. And the reality is everything's different. The teams will approach you a little bit differently. You're kind of the team everyone's watching now, so there's different degrees of expectation. There's more external noise. There'll be more people that are wanting to come to games, more opportunity to do things outside of football. And I think the reality is you got to stay focused on, what's really important. How do you improve? How do you get better from week to week, day to day? Even the games, a lot of games we won last year were very razor thin margins. One or two plays, make the difference in every game. So I'm, from how I feel about it and how BA has talked about it with our team, he's done a great job of keeping us focused, keeping the intensity there, allowing us to continue to work out together and communicate and make improvements that we need to make, because I feel like, we're not finished products. And it was really our first opportunity to play together last year. And there's a lot of opportunity for us to grow into something that could be, very different. We have a lot of guys who like to do that. Very competitive group of guys.
No NFL team has repeated as Super Bowl champions since the 2003-2004 Patriots. And I distinctly recall in 2004, one of the ingredients to the Patriots being as good as they were, people didn't believe they were good enough to repeat. They just kept chugging along, but they weren't regarded as this super
dynasty
team with all the starters back and everything's lined up, and the Buccaneers are great, and maybe they'll go 17-0.
You're right.
The Patriots didn't have that, so they were able to have the chip on their shoulder that propelled them to what was regarded as unlikely. It makes it even harder for the Buccaneers. And Chris, as we said yesterday, up 28-10, Tom Brady turns into an interception machine. And but for the decision to not go for it, and the Packers don't force overtime, the Packers could have and should have won that game. They had all the momentum, very different narrative around Brady and the Buccaneers, if that's ultimately what happens. Maybe they don't hold the team together. It's a deflating end. Guys are going to need a fresh start, etc. I agree with everything he's saying. It's not going to be easy, and it's going to require every ounce of his leadership abilities to keep everyone focused all year long, 1 week at a time, on getting back to where they just were.
Yeah, no, I mean, it is interesting. Again, I think it's going to be a great, psychological experiment to a degree, because, it's unique in them, the fact that, they were a good team all year. They really didn't become a really good team and start to come together to the last, 2-3 games of the regular season into the playoffs. So, them playing at a really high level is still going to be new to them, which I think would add, excitement to be wait, we just got going. Let's go, all of that. I also think with BA, Bruce Arians, and the culture around there, I don't think they're going to feel the pressure of the situation. I think he's a great guy to keep people loose and kind of just enjoy, the riches of being the kings of football and all that. But, yeah, I mean, everything Brady said is true. Not that I can speak to being on a Super Bowl team, but I can speak to being on a good team one year and then coming back to the next year and going, wait, we're doing all the same things we did last year, but none of it's working, and why can't we do it as good, and those type of things. Every team every year has its own lifeline. And even with Brady and some of those teams that they won Super Bowls with, there was one year the tight end stuff, it's all great. We're killing the NFL. The next year, teams make adjustments. All of a sudden, they're all over the tight end stuff. And you have to go wait, we kind of got to reinvent ourselves to find our new niche for this season to kind of what we are, what makes us go. Oh, hey, here's Wes Welker or Edelman. Let's start to do that part of the offense. That is a real thing. And they're going to have to find that, little rhythm with the 2021 Bucs. Because, it's unlikely that they're just going to hit the ground running, doing exactly what they did at the end of last year and be able to execute that, because you and I both know, like Brady said, everybody studies the Super Bowl winner. Everybody. They're all going to watch it. And then especially the teams that are going to play them early in the year and the division teams. So some of the things that they were bread and butter good at last year, teams are going to make adjustments, let alone they got a bullseye and they're the Super Bowl champs and everyone who wants a piece of their ass when you're that team.
It's the measuring stick game on everyone's schedule.
Yeah.
It's the one that gets circled, and especially early in the year. If the Buccaneers end up stumbling at all, then it's not as big of a deal in November, December. But early in the year, that's what the Cowboys are gearing up for. This is their chance to reestablish themselves and get their season off to a great start. And they would love nothing more than to go to Tampa Bay and win on the night where they raise their banner. So, yeah, every team, every opponent there, in the division, out of the division, in the conference, out of the conference, they all are going to want to show what they can do against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucs are going to get the best of what every team they face has every given week, especially as long as they are still a good team. Wheels come off, different story altogether. The folks at PointsBet don't expect the wheels to come off for the Buccaneers or the Kansas City Chiefs. They are the overwhelming favorites to win the Super Bowl. The Chiefs plus 475, the Buccaneers plus 650, and then there is a gap. Plus 1,200 are the Bills and the Rams. I'm surprised the Rams are as high as they are, but when you go out and get Matthew Stafford and you're already a Final 8 team and you're replacing Jared Goff with Matthew Stafford, I understand it. I still am surprised that the Rams are higher than the 49ers at plus 1,300. But regardless, there's a gap between the Chiefs and the Bucs and the rest of the top contenders.
I would think the Rams thing above the 49ers, I'm with you. It's a little surprising at first look, but I would guess it's all about the quarterback, really, like you said. It's just the Stafford, and we're not sure, Jimmy G, Trey Lance, whatever, how do they feel about it? I would believe that's the perception, but I don't know. I mean, I'm like, when I look at those, I go, I feel it's about right. I mean, I do think Kansas City and Tampa Bay, just on paper and everything like that, are a notch above the rest of the NFL right now. One with their mental toughness, their showmanship, and then of course they're talented. And then we've talked so much about the Bucs and how amazing it is that 22 starters are back. But we're seeing a team that's gone to the Super Bowl 2 years in a row and, lost this last one, but got significantly better this offseason. Significant. And I feel like it's kind of been swept under the rug because of the Buccaneers thing and they had lost and all of those type of things. But, man, when you talk about what they did on the offensive line, right, Mike? They got Jaron Reed, one of the better D tackles in football, who said, screw you, Seattle. I don't want to be here if you want to renegotiate my contract. For what, $7 million to get him? And then made some other moves with Mike Hughes and things like that to where I just go, don't sleep on the Chiefs. They didn't sit back and go, oh, we just got to play better this year or have a new execution standpoint from what we did in the Super Bowl. They got better. They got players to get better, and that's where I look at those two teams as certainly the cream of the crop.
A point that someone made to me after the Falcons traded receiver Julio Jones to the Tennessee Titans, making the Titans dramatically better and thrusting them, I think, into the elite. They were already close to the elite in the AFC. This is going to be a lot like last year, and it may even be more pronounced, where it's murderer's row in the AFC. And who are the Buccaneers really competing with? I mean, look, after the Bucs, it's the Rams, right? Bucs versus Rams. I'll take the Bucs right now.
I know.
Maybe the Bucs have an easier path.
Definitely.
With all their dysfunction,
right?
Whether Rodgers shows up or doesn't show up, the Packers going 13-3 again this year? I don't think so. Yeah. But it could be the Bucs have an easier path in the regular season. I mean, they're going to face the Falcons twice now without Julio Jones, who has done well against them in the past. They have an easier path in the regular season, greater likelihood of being the top seed. They did it the hard way last year, going on the road every week in the playoffs. Maybe this year they end up the 1 seed. Saints are in transition without Drew Brees. But the AFC is going to have that cluster of great teams. So by the time you get to the last game, how much gas will the Chiefs have left in the tank if it is the Chiefs? And the Buccaneers, they won't be as battle-hardened, but they also won't be down 4 or 5 starters who got banged up throughout the course of the AFC postseason. So it's another reason to look at the Buccaneers and say,
yeah, you're sitting pretty.
They're in a good spot.
You're right. There's no team in the NFC you really look at and go, they got it all. They're dominant. Watch out for them this year. There's really not. You're right. I mean, New Orleans we know is good, but it's a transition to a degree. The 49ers, I think we look at them as maybe the complete roster to have the type of talent, to mess with the Bucs.
If they can stay healthy.
If they can stay healthy, right, which we're already seeing issues with that this week. And then, of course, the quarterback conversation. But the AFC, as we brought up a few times in the last few weeks, you're right. It's unbelievable. And forget about that, too. It's all the great quarterbacks in the AFC. I mean, they're all over there. Other than Brady, Russell Wilson, and Rodgers, I mean, when you just start to break it down, I mean, just the AFC North, all those studs, Josh Allen, New England, the Jets with a top 5 pick. The AFC South has got Wentz and Tannehill and Deshaun Watson. Now Trevor Lawrence gets added to the mix. I mean, Mahomes, Herbert, I mean, just everything. You look at it, you're right. It's not going to be easy to get out of the AFC, and that certainly could be a factor for the Chiefs as they go along through the year.
The NFC team, if I'm the Buccaneers, I'd be the most concerned about. Which team in the NFC has the formula to beat Tommy in a single elimination game? Which team has the formula?
Well, you thinking about the G-men?
No.
No. Single.
Close. Go down 95 a little bit. Who'd we praise yesterday? Washington.
Oh, no doubt.
They got the formula.
You're right. I'm not going to sleep on Washington. You're exactly right.
They got the
studs.
guys up front.
They do.
They got the guys up front.
Yes.
To make Tommy's life a living hell.
Agreed. They do. They have some potential there to be a player. I'm with you. And as we stated yesterday, we're both taking Washington to win the NFC East. I don't. It's a no-brainer for me. Yeah, I mean, I like what the Giants did and things like that. But man, I think that Washington team, like you talked about, front four can win games by themselves. And then you have all those guys in coverage and that offense with the weapons and things like that. Yeah, they're definitely one of those teams I think we should watch out for.
They got the offense to keep up with whatever Brady can do, and they got the defense to keep Brady from doing what he can do. And that knee, I'm telling you, he keeps talking about that knee. He said that knee bothered him since April, May of last year. He had to deal with it all season long. And they're going to use shotgun more to protect it. Who's to say that it's fine? They didn't tell us it wasn't fine last year. And speaking of fine, he keeps talking about that knee. They are getting fined because he never was on the injury report last year with a knee. Never. Not a single time. And he's now made it clear, and he keeps talking about it. Just like Brett Favre talked about his partially torn biceps tendon in 2009 when he went to the Vikings. And they eventually went back, and they fined the Jets and Mike Tannenbaum and Eric Mangini for not disclosing that injury. The Bucs have to worry about that because he just keeps talking about it, and it makes me wonder how bad it was, and it makes me wonder, Chris, how good it really is and will be. It's not a conspiracy; it's a fact.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think it's your crusades about the injury reports are always great, but like this is real. I don't know. Like to me, it seems like does the NFL care anymore? Maybe they don't care. I just feel like they've kind of let a few of these scenarios kind of just fall by the wayside lately. I do. And yeah, the Brady thing, I mean, honestly, come on, this has been talked about since February. I mean, every other week there's a conversation about his knee being hurt last year and man, he had to play through it and all of that. So, I mean, if there was somebody to get fined, yeah, you would think it would be the Bucs and the champs and Tom Brady and all that. But I don't know, maybe the NFL has stopped worrying about it because this is at least the third or fourth time we've talked about somebody who was injured that we didn't know about in the last 6 or 7 weeks.
Well, they're going to wake up one day, and Roger Goodell is going to have a date with a Senate or House committee
that's what's going to happen.
To testify on integrity in professional sports as it relates to the transparency or lack thereof of information available to bettors and access to inside information and other assorted means for potential corruption. They're going to be surprised then, potentially, but they shouldn't be because that's where all this is going to lead. All the billions they're going to make off of gambling, it's going to come with a price if they don't take care of some of these issues, and that's one of the ones that they need to care about or it's going to haunt them.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.